Thank you very much, Donna, for that very beautiful rendition of "O Holy Night." It's just really special. Most of us feel like we haven't experienced Christmas unless we hear "O Holy Night." And certainly tonight is no exception, and you brought it in a very beautiful and glimmering, shimmering light. We're so thankful for that. Thank you for doing that. Robert, thank you for praying tonight and helping us. And thank you to the choir for singing us a beautiful song. I would rock the baby Jesus, cradle him in my arms as he has cradled me so many times. Did you hear that line that they sang? It was just beautiful. And thank you. We've done a lot of singing already tonight, so thank you for helping us. You've been the multitude of the heavenly host tonight, helping us to sing. This is a very, very special night. Thank you to all those who've read for us tonight, to Blair and to Leanne, to Dalton, to Jimmy and to Claire for helping us make this night very special. One of the scriptures really caught me because I think it's stuck in there, I don't think it's a throwaway line. You could read it without any trouble of the flow of the story of Jesus if it weren't in there, but it's in there, and I don't think it's in there by accident. Claire read it to you. She may have heard it so many times, and you have, that you may have glossed over it. It's in verse 19 of the second chapter of Luke, that beautiful, poetic language of Jesus' birth. You were listening, weren't you, as we went through? I guess you could have left that verse out. When they saw this, they made known to them what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them, and the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all that they had heard and seen as it had been told them. So you could read the story fine without that missing verse. See, I read and I skipped over verse 19. But verse 19 says this: "But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart." It's stuck in there somehow. I wonder why. That's important. It's got to be important. I don't think it's a throwaway line. It's in there. Perhaps it's in there because the writer of the Gospel of Luke was interviewing Mary about the birth of Jesus. So Mary, tell us about the birth of Jesus. She's interviewing. And all that time, now Jesus is resurrected and gone. He's in heaven, sitting at the right hand of the Father. Well, I've pondered this for many years, and it's been in my heart. Thank you for asking. November 3rd, 1962. Does anybody know why that date's important? It's my birthday. It may not be important to you, but it's pretty important to me, let me tell you. And I've heard some things about my birthday. Just recently, my father sent me a card. He's not much on buying gifts, so he puts a check in an envelope and puts a little note and sends it to me. Really, it's okay by me. I'm fine with the check. As a matter of fact, speaking of money, the next offering, that got put in there and didn't get edited out. So we're not having two offerings tonight, so just relax, No more. You don't have to pay any more for your admission. You're good. My mother had a false pregnancy, and I'm not really sure what that means, but anyway, she really wasn't sure when she conceived me. So she said there was a window of time. She says, I was expecting you for about 13 months. Now, we know that's practically impossible, but that's what my mother told me, so But somehow in there, she was confused as to exactly when I might have been conceived. So the exact date of my birth was always going to be sort of a mystery. So the time came, of course, when it was obvious that I was to come. And they went to the hospital. I was born in Franklin, Tennessee. And it was a very sunny day, much like today. It was a warm day. And the very next day, on November the 3rd, it was snowing and quite cold. I didn't think my dad really knew much about that. My mother told me a lot about the day that I was born. I think she must have treasured that in her heart and pondered it and thought maybe I might need to know that someday. But in a note that my dad wrote, just my birthday, it was just last month, he put in there, he said, "It was snowing the day that you were born, but your mother and I were so happy we didn't even notice." Mary was really young when Jesus was born. She probably couldn't understand all of it. I mean, just think about this. The angel had come to visit Mary, and she says, "You're going to have a child." Okay. And then she goes to see her cousin Elizabeth, and she's quite past the age of having children, but yet she's already 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist, and so she goes to visit. I'm sure they had those kind of talks like women do. "Oh, I'm pregnant," and they're so excited. And so she's talking, and the baby leaps in John leaps in her mother's womb, and they had this conversation. So she's gotten confirmation that, yeah, something really big is going to happen. And then these shepherds show up at Jesus' birth. We won't even talk about what a problem it was to find some place to even have this kid. Can you imagine Joseph going from door to door trying to find some innkeeper to take them in? And the census is going on. Are you crazy? All our rooms are booked up. And finally, one innkeeper, he goes, "You don't understand. My wife is having this baby right now. We got to find somewhere to put him." And so the innkeeper said, "Okay, how about here with the animals? And there's the manger." And so, okay, that's good enough. Can you imagine Jesus being a little child growing up and Mary saying, "Oh, I remember the night that you were born, These crazy shepherds came and told me about these angels singing to them on the hillside." Yet another confirmation the night he was born that this wasn't any ordinary child. We've been in a sermon series called Prepare the Way. Prepare the way for the Lord. The first Sunday, that was a while back. We've been at this. You see those 4 candles? We've been at this 4 weeks. So we've been lighting candles. This is a big night for most of us. We've been waiting for this for a while. We've been preparing for this. When we lit the first candle, that's the candle of hope. We talked about, are you going to stand with Jesus and be counted as one of his? The second candle we lit was the candle of love. And we said, are you going to burn off? Are you going to refine yourself so that you can just be pure gold and pure love like you're really made? That's what you're really made of. Are you going to be like that? That's where Christ came into our lives to show us that we're made in the image of God. We're made of really good stuff. It's the stuff we put on top of it. It's the things we bring into our lives that kind of make us tarnished looking, not what we're really made of. Won't you take that love in? Won't you be refined for Christ? The third Sunday, we lit the candle of joy, and we talked about all the joy that would be in our life. And would you be willing to welcome Christ into your life? Would you be willing to not only stand with him, maybe be refined by him, but what are you going to do with this love and this joy that you have? And we said, well, if you have a coat, maybe more than one, you can give it to somebody. If you have some food, do the same. And don't be just satisfied with what you earn, and be willing to share. And yesterday we talked about welcoming and what about hospitality looks like. And that means to be vulnerable when you let people come in. And as a guest, you need to be vulnerable too, and to have some place to put Christ. Yesterday we talked about especially that Christ came and was born in a manger, and how so many of those Christmas carols, and we sang them tonight, talk about your heart, opening up your heart to receive Christ. If Christ can be born in a crude manger like that, couldn't he be born in your heart, no matter how crude it might be? And so tonight we're talking about arrive. Christ has arrived. Here is this baby. Now what are we going to do with him? Christ is depending on us to take care of him as he grows up. And Mary didn't understand all this that happened to her. she treasured what was going on to her, and she pondered it in her heart. Pondering means you're weighing it out against other things, against the things of the world, against the things that you already knew in your spirit. But now you're trying to put it in the balance and see, what does all of this mean? The question for us this night is to say, you were born, and that's pretty special. The day you were born was a special day. Your life today is special. You're in a special moment. I'll show you what I mean, just quickly. Just yesterday, I went out to Webb House. We have several of our members there and several friends that I have gained just in the brief couple of years that we've lived here. And I decided to do a little unscientific experiment. And I asked all of these 80 and 90-year-old people, tell me, do you know something about the day you were born? I know you don't remember it, but you were probably told something about it. And the minute they started talking about the day that they were born, their faces just lit up and they smiled. And most of them were born at home. They talked about who was there, the people around them. I mean, they don't really remember, but they remember because their family told them. They had treasured that day and pondered it in their heart. If we all smile when we know some story about the day we were born, and if you don't know the story of the day you were born, ask somebody. And if everybody's already gone, just make something up. Because the day you were born is a very important day. Because if Jesus' life is important, Jesus came to show us that our lives are important. They're just not important on the day we were born. They're not just important tonight, but they're eternally important. The miracle and the gift of this night and the gift of you sitting in this pew is that God loves us so much that God came in our form, human form, to show us we're made in the image of God and that we are loved not just in the moment but forever. And God is willing to do anything for you. And guess what? God did. He did everything for you because you're so special. This night is a special night. Christ has arrived. The question is for us, what are you going to do with him? Where are you going to put him? Let me make a suggestion. Let's don't just put him in a feeding trough out in the back in the barn where we'll forget about him maybe day after tomorrow when many of you are in a hurry to take the tree down and pack up all the decorations. Let's not put him in the back and store him with the Christmas stuff. Let's put Christ in the center of our hearts where we can for years treasure and ponder his gift, the gift of life, the gift of life he gives to us all. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen.